And then we come back here to the state of Florida, where Ron DeSantis felt like he needed to run for president, and so 15 weeks wasn't good enough. We had to go to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that was our Catholic president making the sign of the cross as if to ward off evil or to say, God help us, amid utterance of Florida laws designed to protect the unborn. Does he not know that when Our Lady first appeared to her cousin Elizabeth, while both women were pregnant, Mary with Christ and Elizabeth with St. John the Baptist, that both infants leapt within their own mother's wombs and rejoiced at the greeting? It was not our Lord, the God-man, from the very moment of his conception. And if so, does that not extend to all unborn babies made in his image and likeness, though of course minus the divinity part? But of course, even the most ardent pro-abortion activist who pretends that unborn babies of any gestation are nothing but unalive clumps of cells, well, they know deep down that they are indeed killing a human life. It's just that they think the wishes of the mother, no matter how trivial or vain they may be, supersede the right of the child to continue living. Bill Maher quite literally admitted as much while I was out on my honeymoon the other week. Watch.
I scold the left on when they say, oh, you know what? They just hate women, people who aren't pro-life, pro-choice. They don't hate women. They just made that up. They think it's murder. And it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you.
His audience must have felt pretty awkward at that admission. It's one of those things that pro-abortionists internally understand, but they would never admit to in polite society. And yet here they are being forced to confront the ugly truth of their own position. But as ugly as it is, it's been a winning issue for Democrats, or at least they think it is. And as you all know, Joe is campaigning hard this election season on the slogan to restore Roe. He was in Tampa yesterday blaming President Trump for the 6-week abortion ban that Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law and which will finally go into effect next week after the Sunshine State Supreme Court upheld it in a ruling earlier this month. What Biden should really be making the sign of the crossover and getting down on his knees to beg God for forgiveness for, as we all must do when we sin, is what his administration has been doing in his name against pro-lifers. Take a look at this new piece by our friend Mary Margaret Olohan over at the Daily Signal. Says exclusive, she survived a death camp. Facing Biden DOJ charges, she is prepared to die in prison. Joining us now to discuss is Reverend Jim Hardin, the president of Compass Care Pregnancy Services. Reverend, thanks for being back tonight.
Thanks for having me back. It's an honor.
Great. So Ava Edel turned 10 years old inside a communist death camp in the former Yugoslavia. And now, though, she fears she will die inside a U.S. prison as a political prisoner of the Biden regime. So what could she have possibly done to be faced with such a morbid end?
What she did was she exercised her First Amendment rights and speaking out not just for herself, but for the weak and vulnerable preborn boy and girl and the woman who's about to be abused and or re-victimized by a mercenary abortion industry that is supported and paid for by federal tax dollars against the law. I mean, she is doing what she wished someone would have done for her, and that is stand in the gap for her life. Eva's got an amazing story of how basically the Lord, through other people, had essentially saved her life, and specifically her mother broke into this death camp and found a way to rescue her while she was at death's door. And now she wants to do the same thing because it's not the government's job to decide which persons qualify for protection under law and which ones don't. No government has the right to allow the legal killing of any human being, born or preborn. So, I mean, it's unconscionable. She's being held right now, and she's going to be tried. She's already been tried, and she's going to be sentenced potentially for 2 different crimes. And the crimes are because she's peacefully exercising her ability to speak up and use her voice on behalf of the voiceless. She's facing 11 years for conspiracy against rights in federal prison and a $350,000 fine. That's the injustice. The injustice here, what we're seeing is not that Eva committed a crime. What we're seeing is that the justice system is being used to commit crimes against humanity, and that needs to stop. And I think this is an instance for America to wake up.